Hello there, parents to be and new parents. I hope I'm catching some of you before you've made your baby registry. Today we're going to talk about baby seats. This could be things like bumbo, swing, bouncer, all these different basically baby holders or contraptions we can put them in for fun or entertainment or just casual laying around. Now, things I'm not going to talk about would be things like a car seat or a crib or a booster seat or high chair for at the kitchen table. Those are more essential. Those are not lounging seats. So we're not going to talk about those today. But what I want to start this off with is advising you not to buy too many seats and to truly just put a quilt on the ground and let your baby just roll around and just experience the world. They don't need a seat to hold them. They can just be free to move their body as they desire and as they want to. Okay, I have some thoughts and reasonings for this. One, more minimalism, saving money, saving space in your home. Two, safety. Every single one of these items, take just a swing, for example. A swing can get knocked over by a large dog. It can also get knocked over by a toddler if this is your first baby, so you have older children around. So a swing could also be misused by maybe grandma or grandpa if they're watching your baby. Maybe they don't buckle them in, but you do buckle them in. Any contraption or item you bring into your home has more safety risks. Whereas putting baby on the floor, they can't fall off the floor. They're already on it. Now, obviously, with anything, you can look at it like, well, we have a basement. They could roll down the stairs. We'll put up a baby gate, or we have a large dog. They could step on them on the floor. Well, that's up to you if your pets are not safe around your baby. Another option on that would be using a pack and play as a play area where they're essentially on the floor but protected. There's also baby gate activity things where they still could have plenty of room to enjoy the floor safely. So let's jump into a couple seats specifically, and I'm going to talk a little bit about if I use them and if I recommend them or do not recommend them. So one is the bumbo. I don't even know if they still make these things. Some come with a tray, some do not come with a tray, some come with buckles, some do not come with buckles. They are, in my opinion, kind of controversial. I think they're a waste, personally, because I feel like if you're putting your baby in a bumbo, they're not ready to sit up yet. The bumbo helps support them. So they're not ready to do it. You're rushing them. And if they can't sit up, they're kind of getting too big for the bumbo. Another bad thing about bumbos is people will often put them on their kitchen countertops and the bumbo can fall with your baby in it. I have known of an instance where it did happen, someone in true life. And that is why I do not recommend the bumbo seat. I don't think it is necessary and I would not choose to have one. The Mamaroo. So I know there's a zillion types of swings out there. The Mamaroo is more of an elongated one, and it sort of like moves your baby in different ways, and it has all these like settings and patterns. I don't think they're necessary. I think it's just a fancy swing. And I've also heard where parents will talk about the Mamaroo, and some people are like, my baby loved it, must have. And other people are like, my baby hated it, never. I think for the price, I would not risk it. So for me, the Mamaroo is a no-go. Now, your more traditional baby swing. I find them to be very large. Typically, they're going to have a pretty wide base, so they don't tip over. Therefore, they take up quite a bit of room in your house. Maybe you have a large home. I do not have a large home. I did not have a swing for either of my babies. And my mom actually, meaning grandma, had one in her closet for all the other grandbabies and was like, hey, you want to borrow it? And I was like, absolutely not. No, thank you. So I even had the option of a free swing and I still turned it down. I didn't want one in my home. I did not need it. And people would be like, well, what if your baby loved the swing? They don't know what they missed. They never had the opportunity to like it. And I'm okay with that. The DockATot. So this is more of a lounger item. Some people use them in the crib for true sleep. Other people use them on like the couch. I did not get a DockATot. I did not use any sort of baby lounger cocooning, like a Moses basket. I did not use any of those items. I just managed without them, honestly. And I know some of these items have some controversy related to baby's ability to breathe because you are putting that bumper around them in a sense. If they turn slightly, there's more of a risk of them not being able to breathe versus them on a flat, say, crib mattress, for example. So I did not do a DockATot or anything of that nature. And then another lounger for when they start getting older is either using a boppy pillow, like a nursing one, or using like the boppy lounger, where it almost reminds me of a beanbag chair, but for baby, where the middle is like filled in. Because, the one boppy, it's empty because it fits around mom. The other one, it's more of a lounger. Again, I just don't think it's necessary. It's basically putting your baby on a pillow to then put them on the floor. Just put them on the floor. Like, your baby will learn. They will move. They will crawl. They will roll. They will eventually learn to sit up when they're ready to sit up. We don't need to constantly be helping them to sit up. So one item I did use very limited was an activity center. And what I mean by this is one of those where it goes all the way around baby. You put your baby in it and they can kind of like spin around and play with all the toys. I did not use this at my home, but when both my babies were younger, I was a nanny and I took them to work with me. I did use it at work. So if I needed to say unload the dishwasher or do something of that nature, maybe just wash dishes, I would sometimes put them in the activity center just to quickly get a job done while at work. And part of the reasoning for that was that the family I nannied at had two large dogs that I didn't completely trust if I was engrossed in a task. So I needed baby to be maybe not on the floor just while I was busy. So did use an activity center a little bit. I would not recommend getting one though necessarily. Maybe if you're a stay-at-home mom and you truly are home all day and you just really need a couple different options, maybe then I would look to see if you can find one secondhand or borrow one from a family member for just a few months even. Johnny jumper. So this is the thing that like often hangs from your door frame and it just, baby jumps in. It's like a little trampoline action vibe. We borrowed one for my first child, and then with the second, we didn't borrow it again. We didn't care to have it. It just wasn't needed. Again, it almost felt like we were rushing baby developmentally, and then by the time they wanted to jump, it was almost like they were too big to be in it, that it was almost like scary to have them in it, a little like too intense, or they were too heavy, or I don't know, it just seemed like a little much. Again, just such a small window where you can use it. I know the recommendations is when you do put your baby in a jumper like that, to do like 5 or 10 minutes at a time. That's it. So is this item worth like having in your home for a 5-minute little helper? I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. And again, on this one with safety, if you have older children, that baby can get pushed into a door real fast. So again, it's just more items are more safety concerns. And then this other seat we had, it was like, I called it the frog chair because ours had a frog on it, but I've looked it up and I believe it's the sit me up floor seat. I don't know if it's Graco. I'll have to look that up in here. It's kind of a weird seat. And again, it was a hand-me-down from a family member, and we kind of tried it out, and we actually used it as our first high chair till we actually got a proper booster seat. So we used it a little bit with the initial introduction of baby food. It was an okay seat, but it still wasn't anything like amazing, And finally, your more traditional bouncer. This is the like reclining one where you're a baby and you're just, your feet are down here, your head's up here, and you can bounce a little. You got a few toys in front of you. We had a bouncer. Again, I did not register or buy it. It was from grandma on the other side, and we just borrowed it for a few months. I did use this item, and I did consciously say, we will take the bouncer. We will bring that one into our home. It didn't take up the most space. It didn't have a ton of overstimulating toys on it. It was pretty simple. And it was also something that could easily be moved from room to room. So say I needed to unload the dishwasher and baby wanted to be by mom, or I needed to go in my room and like say straighten my hair in my bathroom and baby wanted to go with mom. That was something I enjoyed versus the swing is not as easy to move from room to room. So that's why I was more on team bouncer, if that makes sense. Another reason that you may want an item such as a bouncer is if your baby is struggling with like reflex or spitting up after feedings, you may want them to have that like incline for a little bit after a feeding if you're unable to hold them upright. So something to consider on that. Now, I think the thing to consider is that these items, they're not must-haves. They're wish list items. They're convenient to have. They are not must-have. Don't get wrapped up in the baby buying industry and the need, and want, and the best, and I couldn't have lived without it. You could live without it. You really could. I lived without a swing. It was just fine. So save your money, save your friends' money, save space, save just mental clutter and just overwhelm. And skip some of these baby seats. Don't be afraid to be a more minimal mom. Let your babies explore the world around them more naturally on something like a blanket. If you have hardwood floors, maybe you get a really padded blanket, or maybe you get a rug where it really is just a comfy, thick rug for them to enjoy and explore the world around them naturally and at their own pace. As I mentioned before, safety is important as well, and all these seats come with buckles and straps and this and that. They do lead to safety concerns sometimes. I mean, how many items have we seen later on be recalled? It happens. So you may be using something dangerous now that later will be recalled and discovered to have caused infant mortality. Now, I'm not saying that all these seats are bad or dangerous or terrible to have in your home, but I am saying consider eliminating some of them from your wish list. Consider reining it in and thinking about your home and your space and what makes the most sense for you. Are you a stay-at-home mom and you truly are home all day and you're like, I need options? Or are you a mom who is working outside of the home, baby's at daycare a lot of the day, to where when you are with them, you are going to want to snuggle with them and hold them? Or there's not that many hours in the day to where maybe you don't need as many seats and things to entertain them and occupy them. I hope this video gave you some thoughts on baby seats and your baby registry and maybe eliminating some of these items that are not in fact a need. Leave a comment about a seat that you absolutely loved or would not recommend, or your thoughts in general on floor time. I would love it if you would check out some of the other videos here on my channel, and I hope to see you here for the next video. Thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful day.